Hello YouTube, I'm happy to welcome you back for another episode of the Hagakure analysis. And we're going to jump in because there are two quotes by Yamamoto Jinwemon that I want to discuss with you. The first one is, if you can see in one direction, you can see in eight. This is something that Musashi could have said, because he discusses a lot the fact that if you can gaze in one direction, then you can actually see all around, right? The only dead angle would be on the side where your head is blocking the view, right? Because your eye doesn't have the ability to travel that way, so you have to turn your neck. So if you can see in one direction, you can see in eight. It means that if you can see straight in front of you, it also means that every single path of vision is also open. You just choose to focus your view on this, right? But even if I look here, now my vision is focused here. I'm looking at what's written on this box here that you guys can't see. I can still see the camera. So it's the same thing for the advice that Musashi was giving, where you don't have to move your neck. You don't even have to move your eyes to look at something. It's easier, but in certain moments of your life, you're going to find that having the ability to see things that are moving on the peripherals of your vision can be crucial and can save your life. Junemon also says, a samurai should use a toothpick even though he has not eaten. A dog's skin inside, a tiger's hide outside. That's the toothpick part is interesting. Let's talk about the animalistic metaphor first. A dog's skin inside. What are the characteristics of a dog? A dog is very loyal. A dog will fight to the death for his master. But a dog is also regular, right? They have a routine. If you've ever had a dog, they're like kids. They strive with a routine. They want to be fed at the same time. They want to go outside at the same time. And that is discipline, in a sense. It's the ability to repeat the same thing again and again. That's how you get great. So that's the samurai. He's loyal. He is willing to fight to the death, but he also is willing to basically spend his entire life towards that thing. If you think about it, your dog really only lives for you. It's the reason why we love them so much is because they love unconditionally and forever until they die. A tiger's hide outside. So what are the characteristics of the tiger? They're fierce, they look aggressive, they are powerful, they're wild, so they're completely unpredictable. This is the reason why so many people who own tigers get mauled, even though they fed the thing ever since it was a baby. You cannot control wildlife. It will remain wild. We can trust dogs to an extent because we've domesticated them for thousands of years. It's not the same for a tiger. So from the outside, the samurai will look like this. It's also, and Yamamoto discusses it in length in other parts of the book, a samurai shouldn't care about the way they look. A samurai shouldn't care about the way his hair looks, or if his weapons look pretty, or if he has a shiny armor. He needs to be effective, and to be effective, you need to let go of all of that. So that is going to give you the appearance of a wild beast, in a sense. A tiger, tigers do groom themselves because they're big cats, but they also sometimes walk around covered in mud, right? They're not going to care about that. So it's that dichotomy of from the inside being that loyal soldier and being devoted, and from the outside looking like a savage killer, right? Because it also serves your interest. That way, people will see you and think, okay, this person is serving that master. So if this man is able to have samurais that look like this in his ranks, he must be of high power. And the way to apply that in your everyday life is, and could also be, do not reveal who you are. Your image doesn't have to match who you are inside. If people want to judge you for the way you look, then it's up to them. If they want to discover what's truly inside, it's also up to them. But it can have its advantages to be able to hide your true form, in a sense. Because that true form could be something people take advantage of, and you could ward bad influences, if you projected a different image. Machiavelli said that looking powerful is being powerful. And that's a great quote when you apply it to bodybuilding, because you will find that once you get buff, people won't mess with you anymore. They don't know if you know how to fight. You cannot know if someone knows how to fight. There are certain signs, but for the most part, you'll be big and people will steer clear away from you because they look for prey, and prey are weak, and you won't be weak. So you'll be a tiger from the outside. From the inside, you might be the sweetest man alive. And as far as the toothpick thing goes, a samurai should use a toothpick even though he has not eaten. I will let that up to you because I personally don't have a clear idea of what he means here. Should it mean that you need to, you need not reflect the reality of your life with your outward appearance? So it would be sort of an echo of the dog and tiger thing, meaning that you have a toothpick but you haven't eaten. So it's a sign, an exterior sign that actually doesn't reveal what is going on in the inside. I don't know. But it's interesting, I will keep thinking about it. Yamamoto continues. One should own one reply when asked. How should one reply when asked what is the most important thing to aspire to in one's training? Let me try to answer. Pure will in every moment. Many neglect this attitude. When one is pure in heart, a vivacious expression appears on one's face. Something special manifests in one's heart when completely sincere in one's undertakings. I couldn't agree more with that. The most important thing to have is will, determination, being self-driven. If you have that, that applies to everything in your life, and it's going to make you great at everything because you will always apply yourself and work hard. And you cannot teach it. You can encourage it in people. You can emulate it. You can feed it, but you cannot teach it because will is something that people decide to have or not. It's simply the truth. And sometimes it's an event in your life that is going to trigger that will. Sometimes it's going to be someone who's going to be a mentor. For me, it was just one day where I realized I cannot keep on living like this. I need to do something. And this is when I've decided, I set my mind on something, and from that point on, I had that will, and it never left me. And I know that everyone who succeeds in the bodybuilding endeavor or something else, they all have that will. We all need to develop that will and to feed it, to make it strong as steel so that it never breaks. And so that is the most important thing, pure will in every moment. It cannot just be when you train. That will, regardless of if you try or not, that will is going to expand in every aspect of your life. It's sometimes not true. I've met people who were very meek, very easy to overcome in everyday life, but the second you touch their area of interest, their entire demeanor changed and they became on the ball. So, sometimes it's possible, but I think that for your own sake, it should be just everything in your life. You should be determined to do everything right and just do it the way you want to do it. And as he says, many neglect this attitude, and that's all true in today's fitness, where people want that quick fix, they want that magical program, they want that special exercise, because they don't have any will. If you have will, you can give a man a few rocks, a few sticks, a tree to do pull-ups. If he has the will, he will build a strong and big body from it. It is applicable in all things. It is hard to find this special thing, and it is even more difficult to hold on to when you have it. The only approach is to throw your heart into the moment now. So here he's actually mentioning the special thing that manifests in one's heart when completely sincere in one's undertakings. So he's basically saying that you can apply it in all things, as I just said, and that it's hard to find it. I do agree with that. It's hard to find it, but you will have guides, you will have signs. For me, I truly realized how much I love bodybuilding when I was maybe 2021. But before that time, I was already doing things in relation to bodybuilding that made me feel great. For example, when I first started doing push-ups and curls to get bigger because I was small and weak, it's the development of my body that I loved. I could see myself getting bigger. I loved it. And after that, when I trained for football, for basketball, I always preferred the weight training and the way it made me feel. The practices, the actual competition, I didn't really care about that. I cared about muscle. And eventually it came to my mind that I was just a muscle fanatic. I wanted to build my body. I didn't care about anything else. So it did take a while to develop, but it was always with me, is what I say. So it's hard to find, but it's there. It's out there. You just have to try things, and eventually your heart will set itself on one thing. And Shoujo continues, he says, it's hard to find, and it's even more difficult to hold on to. It is difficult, not necessarily because you might give up, but because the wood is going to be the thing that tries to make you give up. Things are going to be thrown your way. You're going to have responsibilities, school, a job, children, a marriage, relationships in general. And that's why it's so hard to hold on to it, because you might fall out of love. And I've said it in a different video, I don't know which one, but falling out of love is the saddest thing that you can experience. I do not wish that on my worst enemy. And when it happens to you with something you love, like a hobby, it's heartbreaking because you just don't know where you went wrong. That passion is gone. I personally think that we have triggers. You have triggers that make you fall in love. It's what you like inside, but you also have triggers that make you fall out of love. And you need to figure them out. And to figure them out, you're going to have to go through heartbreaks. You're going to have to experience that to realize, hey, this is a deal breaker for me. If this happens, I might lose my passion. For me, it's if it becomes a job, if it becomes something I make money of, because the stress and the pressure of performance, financial performance, destroy the fun. And if there's no fun, I'm out of it. So this is why I personally want to keep my bodybuilding pure. I don't want to make money out of it because I know what it will eventually do. And so that's a tip I have for you to hold on to that passion. And also you're going to have to make it into a priority in your life. You might have to make sacrifice, but if that's what you love, then it's worth it. And as he says, he basically talks about that to say that even though that's true, you still shouldn't let that hold you back. You need to throw yourself into the moment now, because the best moment is now. You cannot just say, oh, I will try tomorrow, maybe. No, you do it now. Ishida Ite said, even someone who is not particularly skilled with a brush, his ability to write characters will improve if he applies himself in copying a good model. Here, it's one of the few quotes that I actually disagree with. I don't think you should copy people. That being said, there's some truth in it. When you're a complete novice, unless you're a complete genius and you just invent your own way, and some people have done it. Some people have been so good at things that they either created something completely different or they completely changed the sport or field that they entered because they were so good and they bring such revolution that the field had no choice but to adapt to them and not the other way around. For most people who are average, it's the other way around. But you can still leave your mark and you can still make a difference. But before you do that, you will have to copy someone. And in a sense, I did that too. When I started lifting, I didn't know anything, so I had to copy people on YouTube Fitness to learn, right? The reason why I said I don't agree with this quote is because a lot of people take it too far. It's good to try and replicate what someone does, but you cannot try and become that person, and you can never idolize that person. Never. They're a teacher, and I personally think, I was a teacher in the past, I'm still a teacher. I personally think that teachers should not be revered, they should be respected. And you respect them. Why? Because they are guiding you through the path. But that's it. It shouldn't go beyond that. The only thing the teacher has on you is years, right? Eventually you will surpass that teacher, and the goal of that teacher should be to help you surpass them. But of course, a lot of people who teach, they teach out of ego. They teach because they want people to think of them as great. And to me, there's no point in that. The only thing that matters is passing down the information. So this is why I said I didn't necessarily fully agree. And I think we're going to end with another two. Ite continues. There are few examples worthy of emulation these days. So you should select from several to construct your own archetype. Choose one to imitate for the level of grace in protocols or propriety, another for his courage, one for his use of words, another man for his correct moral conduct, one for his sense of giddy and honesty, one who does not dilly-dally and is decisive, etc., etc. By taking the one good thing from different people and merging them together, you will be able to create an ideal standard. A lot of ideas here, but it's actually quite simple. It's the idea of a Frankenstein, where you take qualities from people and you construct yourself. The issue I have with this is to be able to recognize good qualities in others, you would need to yourself have a certain standard, which means that those qualities you already know what they are. Right? You might be inspired by someone, they might show you the way to shape those qualities in a way that actually makes sense, but these qualities were in you from the start. So that's one thing. For me, it comes from you. It's not from the inside into you, it's you yourself who expands and reaches out for models to follow, but you already had that virtue in you. You're just looking for a way to shape it and structure it. And after that, I also want to say that when he says that you need to select from several to construct your own archetype, it's something that I agree with and that I, again, see lacking nowadays. I personally am never in agreement with someone 100%. It is not possible. The only person I agree with 100% is myself. If you show me someone, even if they're very similar to me, I will always find things to bicker about. And I personally think that these are the things that are interesting because they create discussion. If you find that you agree on something with someone, it's great, you have something in common, but it's worthless. Why? It doesn't create argumentation. There's no confrontation here, so there is no discussion. And that type of relationship is what I call fake positivity, because it creates what is defined as an echo chamber, meaning that it's people who congregate with other people who agree on the same thing and they talk about it. What is the point? And the only thing you're doing is you're reinforcing your own bias by doing that. There is no point. You should seek out conflict. You should seek out different ideas so that you can oppose yours to theirs and something greater is going to come out of that. Of course, this is if you're actually intellectually honest and you're able to discuss and not let your ego get in the way, which the vast majority of people are not able to do. The second you start saying to them, hey, I disagree and this is why, they get upset, they start attacking you, they use ad hominems, and the discussion goes nowhere. So it's sort of a double-edged sword because it's an ideal, but the ideal cannot be fully accomplished with just the standard of human beings that we have at our disposal nowadays. But yeah, just because someone has a virtue that you like doesn't mean that the entire package is going to be something that you like. It's the halo effect in the sense, but sort of a variation of it. A lot of people will find one thing they like about someone and then the entire person is going to become like their new god. Again, as I said, I don't agree with that. A lot of people I like, but I can also give you a list of things that I won't like about them. That's just human nature. And that's not being negative, it's being real, right? For me, negativity is a natural part of life and it's an important part of life because, as I said, it creates interesting conflict. Positivity is also an important part of life. The one thing that we could do without it is fake positivity, because I know for a fact that the people who think that way don't actually feel that way. It's a facade. It's because they don't want to have to face the wrath of all of the other people who idolize that person. Those other people themselves don't like that person 100%, but they've created a massive Stockholm syndrome where no one can speak up because they're all part of the cult, and if they don't worship 100%, they might get excommunicated, and they try to avoid that at all costs. You need to resist that type of temptation. It makes you weak, and it just is a waste of time. It's going to destroy your spirit. if you fall into that trap. So that's going to be that for today, because this paragraph was actually much more interesting than I thought. So next time we will start at 70 of the book 1, and we are still 1/4 across the book. A lot of things to talk about here. Thank you for watching. Have a good day.